right, we will go ahead and call this meeting of the Grange Public Library Board of Trustees to order at 7:01 p.m.
Headband recovery.
Sorry, yes.
That's okay.
Yes, thank you. What color is
Red
it?
headband.
Red?
Yes. It was second graders here earlier.
Oh, I didn't know
It's
it.
very important.
That looks like a 8-year-old will be happy.
Okay.
Like literally rapid walking out the door.
A roll call, please.
Katie,
Here.
Lisa,
Here.
Vicky,
Here.
Chantel,
Here.
Becky,
Here.
Jessica,
Here.
Jennifer.
Here. And welcome to our visitors this evening. Hi. Do we have any public comments? No? Okay. Anything received, Jen?
No.
No, okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
A second? Any discussion? Roll call.
Katie,
Aye?
Lisa,
Aye.
Vicky,
Aye.
Chantel,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
So our first item of new business is an update on the Cook County taxing situation.
And the situation she is.
Continues.
So, hopefully everybody had a chance to take a quick look at the article that was included in the board packet this month. It was published on the 9th by the Chicago Tribune. Nothing has changed since then. So I will talk a little bit about that in a minute, but you know, my goal today is twofold. So number one is to talk a little bit about where we are, how we've kind of arrived at this situation, but also to have you all prepared, you know, now that it has made newspapers. You've also probably noticed if you have commercials on your streaming television or you have regular cable still, that political commercials are mentioning public libraries and taxing districts now. So just know that I think as those things come up, my goal is to make sure that you all are always as prepared as possible if people ask you questions. Because there's not a lot of answers, so you can't be expected to have the answers, but at least we'll be able to say, here's what we know and here's what we've experienced. So I thought it was really important to start with a quick list of quick facts to remember about taxes. So again, this may be review for some of you, this may be new information to some of you, but you know, the first things first, when we talk about the tax year, remember that taxes are always collected a year in arrears, which means that we're talking about taxes today that should have been collected in 2025, and those are the ones that you all would have paid based on 2024. That's really important because that's different from how we talk about our fiscal year. It's different than the year that we are currently in, and it is very just confusing. Not all taxing bodies follow the same. Some follow a calendar year, some follow July 1 to January or June 30. So there's a lot of, it's hard to pin down one way to explain everything because there are so many different choices that elected taxing bodies could make.
And Jen, can I ask, is this way that is done for Cook County or the state of Illinois?
Cook County.
Cook County, okay.
Yes, because DuPage County, as a trustee, we do not have this issue.
Okay.
It's just that word. So not at all, but a word. One thing to remember, kind of to build on that, is that while the taxpayer has due dates for your tax payments, the bills are supposed to go out on certain dates, the payments do not come to the taxing bodies with any real regularity. There are some months we get nothing. There are some months that we get $22. There are some months that we get $750,000. It just depends on how the system of distribution kind of plays out. And one of the reasons that happens is because some people pay their bills exactly on the day they're due. There are other people that just pay as they can. So what that means is that taxes generally then are distributed throughout the calendar year. So even though our fiscal year doesn't start until April 1st, remember we've been collecting tax money since January 1st, but that's for the previous year, okay? So, and what we collected January 1st should in theory be for the previous taxing year. When the funds come in, they are in the system that we have to check. They're tabbed to a specific year. So I can go back actually when the system is actually functioning as it's supposed to, which hasn't been since October 31st of 2025. I can go back and I can say, wow, that $22 we got was from a tax underpayment in 2018. So like it is very detailed, right? So generally, when it's available, it's very detailed. So essentially what this means is that when we sit down and we put together the levy, we know that we cannot expect to necessarily get 100% of that number that we ask for no matter what. It's humans are involved, humans making decisions about their checkbooks. It's not necessarily truly automated. We can say we're going to take this money, but in theory, we know that we won't get all of it. Now, looking historically back, I have figured out Grange generally collects 99% of what we ask for, which is amazing. But you have to remember when your budget's $3 million, 1% of $3 million is a lot of money. It could be $30,000, so keep that in mind too. We generally collect 95% of what we tax. I apologize, not 99. So that's why having our operating funds in an account that is interest bearing is really important. So when those disbursements come in, they earn monthly interest, and that's what we use to kind of float us across some of those slimmer months, right? That amount of money is what we use at the end of the year when we're audited and we say, hey, we have this net fund balance if we haven't spent it. That's really our way of taking some kind of savings and putting it into another interest-bearing account where it continues to earn interest, right? So that's part of our responsibility. Our law is the long-term longevity of the library, and interest income is one way that happens. You ask yourself, so when does the remainder of that money come in? When do we find it? And it tends to typically arrive in the library's account within 12 to 18 months of its collection. So again, it can be held up for a variety of reasons, but again, oftentimes we expect to receive the majority of it, which makes sense.
So 12 to 18 months, that would be, they collected it in April of last year, so we should assume by the end of this year.
Yes, okay. Yes. And we should be able to say that we will have collected 95% of 3.1 million by April 30th, in theory. And then I think the last thing to remember, again, is that we levy for that fiscal year. So for the purposes of our discussion today, remember that we're giving information based on the current fiscal year, which is 25-26. But the tax money is from 2024. Any questions about that? Okay, good. Good, that means it was a good primer.
It's not, sorry, one question, because of the whole issue with district libraries versus not, are we usually getting payments about the same time as other libraries in a normal situation? It's
Yes.
just right now with
So we are, as a village library or a municipal library, those two things go together. The only limit or difference from that district library in the past has been that district libraries can levy a lot more money and ask for a lot more money than we can. Ours is because we live in a town that is limited and capped by PTEL, which is the Property Tax Extension Limiting Law. That's why we can levy up to 5% or CPI, whatever's lower. Districts can levy 10%. That doesn't mean they're going to get 10%. but it means that they can ask for up to that. So when we think about comparison, a couple of things I wanted to point out to you is that I started in May because that's when our fiscal year starts, so it goes May to April. And I don't want to put out a huge amount of information. I'd like you to look at where we were in 2024 versus where we were in 2025. And I think that that is probably the easiest way to show that where we are now is significantly smaller than what we should expected to have received. By December of 2025, as you can see, well, you can't see, but if you were to do the quick math, by December of 2025, we had only received about $24,000 of tax disbursements. Now, some of that is due to the late billing, right? But if you all remember, you got your bills November 15th, and they were due December 15th. So in theory, by December 16th or 17th, we should have been seeing the preparations for this money to start coming out of the county and going out to the taxing bodies. Generally, we receive larger amounts in February and March because, again, that's that little layover time for people. The payments that you see this year that we received in January and February of 2026 are fairly large, and they will help, but they do not amount to anywhere near where we would have expected to be by this point in time. This is roughly 31% of where we generally are in, and you saw this in the packet. This is roughly 31% of what we're owed. Generally by February, we've collected closer to 64%. So we've only gotten about half of what we were owed. Now the other, oh geez Louise. The other part to remember is that, again, looking at that historical data, we know that LaGrange residents have paid their taxes. And again, that's whether it's part of your escrow account, whether that is part of direct pay, depending on where you are in your homeowner journey. And that money that they have paid has not come to any agencies, but that money is sitting somewhere and is earning interest, which we talked a little bit about last month as well. So, who's keeping that interest income? We don't know. So reporters had posed that question to the treasurer, who is Maria Pappas, her office, and Tony Preckwinkle's office. And the answer was that that interest income will be distributed accordingly
To
taxing
us.
bodies. Yes.
Okay.
But no details about how and when that might happen.
Vary of one, or how far back they'll be looking at that as well. Because remember, that money that people may have paid last March and April wasn't distributed to us, as you can see here. So what happened to that money?
Like, where is that money sitting?
That article, I don't know, it's confusing because it's that computer software. The
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
Good old Tyler technology.
Yeah, but they also are overpaying people too.
Yeah,
So other
that-
people have the money, so how's it getting interest if they have it?
And then they're like, yeah, we're just gonna leave that
Yeah.
there too.
That
Like,
was infuriating.
How'd you like to be that board and be like, so we have this $1 million extra dollars. Who knows how long they're gonna spread that tape back across? Like it's bananas.
And
Because they
we're
could invest that and make thousands of dollars and then,
yes.
but it's our money or whose ever money.
And we're 10 years into this contract. Like,
Yeah.
how long does it take to
Yes.
figure this out?
Yes. See, that's why I'm very glad you all are informed people, and I'm glad that article was available to us. So let me make sure I'm getting all my notes here for you guys that I want you to hear. Okay, next slide. So I thought this was an interesting way to try and look at it. Like, what are the straightforward numbers? Like, what are the things that you really need to walk away from? And these were these top threes, which should have happened, what actually happened, and why that's a problem. So what should have happened is right about now we should have had just about, based on historical average across the last 2021 to 2024, about $2.2 million by February is what the LaGrange Public Library has classically received in its tax disbursements. We've actually only received $953,000 and some change by February. So essentially, if we were just trying to go apples to apples, we're missing over $1 million in tax distribution by this point in time. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not collected, right? Because it likely has been collected. Generally, we received about 59% of the levy. 31% has been actually received. We're missing 28% of what we would normally expect at this time. And then finally, I try to be really conservative when I talk about interest income, because since I've been a director, the interest income has been very tricky. So, but what I did was I looked at average interest income last year to this year, kind of based where we should have been. At the lowest month, the difference was like $2,100 between what we received in interest in 2024 to 2025. The highest month was $8,200. So it could be a lot of money. I wanted to keep it very conservative. I don't want you to think that's well beyond my Excel spreadsheet average calculation ability. And I'm a word nerd. I'm doing the best I can with what's in front of me. But I said I'm not an accountant. I don't play one on TV, but I can look at averages. I'm straightforward enough to say that I do not believe that the Grange taxpayers' money is being used in a way that you intend it to be, and that's the biggest problem. Told you all of that. Okay. So, and I will say too, in general, we receive a bigger payment in March. But based on the last 6 months that we have been working on this and talking about this, I don't have a lot of faith that we're going to see that. And I was talking about this with another director yesterday, and then the county's ears must have been burning because they sent the second communication, only the second communication they've sent about this topic. And it says that those bills will definitely be out March 1st, and I hope the taxpayers take the opportunity to pay the bill before it comes in the mail. So again, they're trying to assure us that that money will come in March. It just is. I'm optimistic because I'm always optimistic because that's my personality, but I will be very cautiously so. So what do we do? How do we prepare for what's to come? And I think it boils down to a few things. These 5 things, these are the basics that you and I think other taxpayers should know. And that is, Cook County has collected property taxes that they have failed to distribute to the library and to other taxing districts. Remember, we're not the only taxing district. You have your mosquito abatement people. You have your water reclamation districts. You have all of this stuff. And what they have done, and their reporting says, well, we've put out 90% of what we've collected. It does not mean that anybody is 90% whole, 90% to whole. What it means is that of the billions of dollars that is floating around here, they have given out 90%, some to the wrong places.
Right.
Some to,
It said over 50.
who knows?
Over 50 people that.
Yeah. And there are 2,200 total taxing districts, even though we're not a districts, in Cook County. This is to make us whole by the end of April. They still owe us just over $2.1 million. Again, was I expecting to receive the full 2.154? No. But do I expect to receive at least $2 million? Yes.
Yes. Like, that's
Yes. Because that fits 95%, I think the other thing is to remember that this causes long-term fiscal instability, and it's eating away at that potential interest income on our operating funds, but it's also forcing the library to use its planned saving for day-to-day expenses instead of future needs. So again, while we would normally, when it comes to our net fund balance, take that money and transfer it into special building fund so that we have that money when the projects happen or when things come up, it's taking away that plan that the board has had in place for such a long time. We just got complimented in December at the village saying, the trustees were saying, you have a demonstrated record of financial stability and you have a demonstrated record of, frugal use of those funds. This is taking that opportunity away from us. This is not a tax levy or a tax collection problem. Property owners have paid these taxes. Cook County has collected the money, but they have failed to distribute it. And I think that those are things that none of the articles that have come out, I don't think that unless you are looking at the account every day, you probably think about it this way or realize it. So that's why it's my job to bring this to you so you all know. And then finally, the communication from the county has been very vague. I skipped number 4, excuse me. So if disbursement delays continue, we're not far off from the library having to make difficult decisions that will not benefit the community. Putting access to materials, programs, and building needs at risk. So, if you read the article, you saw that some of our neighbors have not been able to order materials. I know some of our neighbors have furloughed staff. I know some of them have said, I don't know how I'm going to pay my staff next week. Again, that is not us. That is not where we are. But it's a very realistic, we don't have the same kind of policy set up. Our finance policy isn't necessarily the same as other taxing districts might be. Ours is a little bit broader. Some districts say we have to have a 6-month reserve of funds standard, right? We always want to have 6 months in a separate account. We don't have that. And we don't have that. It gives us fluidity. But again, we collect 95% of our taxes. If you're in a district, like I know one of the ones that was really struggling was Blue Island, for example, they may not be able to say they collect 95% of their levy every year. So it varies from community to community. We generally tend to have 5 to 6 months available to us. We have 5 months available right now. We are, without having to touch any of our investments, without having to tap into that extra working cash account that we keep that has less than $200,000 in it. We have money. We are fine. But for how much longer? And remember too, if we are consistently spending this 5 to 6 months that we try to keep available, that transfer amount, won't be able to earn its interest income in the coming year.
Well, and who's to say this doesn't continue?
Exactly. And then finally, the communication from the Cook County Board and the Treasurer's Office has been very, very vague. So any communication that has happened has come because library directors have come together and stood up and started to point out like, hey, this is an issue. So we have not been getting support from the Illinois State Library. We have not gotten any support from the Secretary of State's office about this topic whatsoever. There are 33 public libraries that are, as directors, we've been working together and sharing information. There were the 3 people that took the lead on being front-facing advocates for the Tribune, that they were able to tell their stories. I've been communicating personally with our Cook County Commissioner, who's Sean Morrison, with his office. They don't have any more answers than we do. It's just nobody is taking accountability for telling us, when can we expect this money and how do you plan to make it whole and how do you plan to make it right? And I think that it's very uplifting to see that our personal advocacy is making a difference, but at the same time, it's really crappy that we have to be in this position in the first place. When people decide where they're going to move and where they're going to live, a lot of things they look at are, amenities, right? You look at the school report card, you look at your park districts, you look at the green space if that's important to you, you look at your library, you look at those amenities, and those are things you get what you pay for. And right now, the way that it stands, Cook County taxpayers are not getting what they paid for. And that, after our meeting on last month, and that was kind of your all's question and thought process that made me feel really good. That's how you look at it, because that's what you deserve. And that's what the community deserves of all ages. It's not just for kids, it's not just for students, it's for everybody. And I think that what's coming ahead, and this is my final thoughts and takeaways, is like a call to rally and cry. With this resolution, what I hope you all know and I hope you all understand is that a resolution like this is an official communication from a governing body, which is what you are, that says we have issue or we take issue with the things that are being done to my community. So, what you're asking for is, you're asking for our community's money, and we want it now. Are we going to get it now? No, but I think it's okay to ask for it. What the library is owed, $2.1 million plus interest. How we're going to get that, I don't know yet. Why it matters, taxpayers have done their part. Cook County has not. Cash flow matters, and the library is simply seeking to meet the service expectations of its community. We just want to give you what you paid for. And then what happens next? So if the resolution passes, we submit it. We're looking at submitting it not to just all of the Cook County commissioners, but we're looking at submitting it both to our state representatives, to the Secretary of State's office, and to the Illinois State Library to try and call attention to this issue, because in my opinion, their lack of attention to this issue where the majority of Illinois resides is a major misstep on their part. I have a big issue with that. And then finally, it's our way to prepare to hold our elected officials accountable. So, just kind of talked about Tyler Technologies, and I can tell you what I know about that. In 2015, a contract was signed to build a better widget, basically to build a better cog, right? The system that Cook County taxes have been accepted on still lives on like a in-house mainframe computer, apparently. And they were 10 years ago saying, okay, we're going to set this goal. By 2024, 2025, we're going to implement it. We're going to roll out this system. It's going to work. And the company, who's really supposed to be like an emerging kind of like, what do they call it in the article? An emerging tech giant, right? A behemoth, So it's this company that was supposed to do all of this work, and they have consistently missed marker deadlines. Yeah. And no one has held them accountable. Nobody has said, hey, you're not meeting your deadlines. Why are we still working with you? That has not been something that has happened. So what I think is interesting, and I think I kept it up, if you'll let me show you. So one of the things that when I reached out to Senator Morrison's office, he was told by the Cook County Commissioner's office that there's a tracker where you can go every day, they update it, and they show what's been done. Now, this is all gibberish to me, right? I've done technology implementation before. We've done it here at the library since I've been here. So there are markers, there's testing you have to do, and all of that kind of stuff. What I'd like you to notice is that status bar on the side. Yellow means that the deadline has been, red means the deadline has been missed. Yellow means that the deadline has to be postponed because something was missed. And I have to look up what gray means, because gray means something. And all of these due dates, TBD. There are 16 pages of updates. Let's see. Gray means deferred until earlier scheduled priorities are addressed.
Meaning they're so behind, they can't even do it.
So even the places that we are supposed to go for communication, to be transparent with our governing bodies, for me to be able to go to you and say, this is what's happening, it is non-existent. And this is what our elected representatives without any kind of resolution have pointed us to. So that's why I hope you all will have questions I can answer. I will do my best to answer them. Again, this is me being, I want to always be very realistic with all of you, very transparent with all of you. I am not panicked. I am not worried, but I'm angry. I'm very angry about this, because this shouldn't be what libraries are about. This isn't what it should be, but it is. This is the reality. So how do we help that reality along and match what you all talked about last month? So hopefully this is, I should tell you too. One of the things that I've been doing as well with my 33 other fellow Cook County library directors that are involved. So the school districts are extremely mobilized on this topic. So if you look up, tax delays or whatever, oftentimes it started with the schools. Libraries are only just getting their moment I don't want to say moment in the sun, but their moment of recognition this month. And school districts are passing similar language. We get together, we've gotten together twice this month to kind of just talk about like what's happening, who's talking to who, what districts. We don't have, nobody from Lyons Township 105 or 102 have signed anything. The closest one is the Lyons district that is covering, it's not Lyons Township, I think it's Indian Head Park, maybe Willow Springs area. Not 100% sure. Not a lot in our specific, Countryside, the one that's in
But they're
Countryside.
still missing the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And school districts call more attention because you have to remember too, they get a lot, our $3 million means nothing to nobody in the county. But a school district, thinking about like Palatine, Layton, like all of these districts that were some of the first ones to sign on, it's because they have hundreds of employees across multiple school buildings and that kind of stuff. And the way that the money has gone out, there's no rhyme or reason, which leads me to believe, we've got an opportunity here to stand up and say something.
And it's really all we can do at this point is kind of just put on record our displeasure and frustration. So, I would love to motion for the approval of this resolution. Does it need to be read?
I don't think, have we read that in the past? I'm trying to remember.
I guess usually if
We've all
it's,
read it in the packet, right?
yeah, I would say
Who put together the document?
It was reviewed, one of our other library directors put it together, and their review was done by our legal team, Ansel Blake.
And how much did that cost, do we know?
Cost us $0 because their legal team did it, and they also use Ansel Blake.
Perfect.
So it cost us nothing.
So, do we have a motion to approve resolution number R02? My glasses.
17. It's the date.
17 -A-2026.
I motion that we approve resolution number R0217A 2026.
I second that. Any discussion?
I just have one question.
Of course.
It sounds like a great idea, and it sounds like there are no downsides, are there, to writing a letter?
I don't think with the resolution there are, because really it's just you all saying, we are displeased.
Yeah.
I think that there is some discussion about future class action lawsuits and things like that. I would be more hesitant about that than something like this. But this is basically a statement of displeasure.
Going on record.
A public statement.
Mhm.
So people will be able to access this document in total, in full.
No, I think it's our responsibility as, protecting our own taxpayers to say like, hey, we're not happy with this,
No, that's so true because, our fiduciary responsibilities are some of the most important parts of our work as trustees. So this is a great way to demonstrate that to our community. Any other questions before we do roll call? All right, roll call.
Katie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Vicky.
Aye.
Chantel.
Aye.
Bethany,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Two follow-up questions that
Yes.
after that we pass that. I like the idea that you're talking to the library or the school districts and stuff. If they've got the momentum behind that, as much as we can hop on to their bandwagon, I think is smart for all the libraries because it's not just libraries that are impacting this. So they've probably got more funds available to kind of fight this and push this. So leverage those relationships to hop on that bandwagon. And then the other thing that I know that I think you laid out the numbers and just the trajectory of the payments is really slow, and we can bet on the come in the next 2 months. But it'd probably be also responsible if we don't get a big check like by our meeting in March, that we should probably start looking at contingency plans, just so we can be thoughtful about how we, if we're, February, so we're good until like June or July, that's a lot of programming in the summer, so we should get ahead of it and start thinking through contingency plans.
I think that that's really important to note because we have, I'm classically a very conservative budgeter amongst my library peers. And I think that, as we look at what we have in motion and that kind of stuff, it calls to question if it comes between buying books and doing something else, I'm going to buy the books. So while it's not ideal and it doesn't match our strategic goals, this is something that's completely out of our control.
Or, play with hours and that kind of stuff now, even though we have the money now, but that'll make sure we have money further
Agreed.
down the road. So, agreed.
Well, Finance Committee, be prepared.
Yeah, I know. I'll get my Excel skills up. I'll plug my computer in beforehand. So
And Jen, thank you again for all your work to present this information in such an understandable way and for your advocacy on behalf of the library.
Yeah.
It's so important.
This is probably the hardest thing I've had to do. And I've had to do some really difficult things. But can you imagine just completely operating with gray, no boundaries, no solutions, no anything for 2 months? The last 8 weeks, 9 weeks. It's been rough and I need a day off.
Jen, could you share that presentation with us so we have those talking points?
Yeah.
That would be really helpful, thank you. It was a very kind of straightforward look at what's going on, so.
And part of me hopes your neighbors ask you about it, to be honest with you. I hope they do. I don't know that they will because they're still getting their ebooks that they want and their programs that they want, but.
I think being in the news is helpful though, because people aren't aware of it until they see something like that though.
And I did use Press Reader to find the article that you have in your packet today. So thank you, databases.
It'd be nice if the New York Times could say, like, Cook County, Illinois, because they have brought up Illinois before being the highest tax index, right next to New Jersey, but every once in a while they like to highlight.
I mean, and also if you're gonna blame a computer software issue, there needs to be more details on what are they saying? Some sort of feedback on what's going on.
How were they chosen? Who else ran for it? What was the bidding process?
There was another article this week that Marie Pappas owned stock in that company in 2022. So just putting that out there. I don't know. I don't vote in Cook County. I vote in DuPage.
I mean, I think it's hard that kind of stuff because you could own stock in stuff you probably don't even know. So not that there's not things like that happening, but
True.
at what point do you start billing them for?
I mean, I also happen to know that from attending those meetings so the company, the way that the contract was written in 2015, the company is held to damages for missed due dates or overall damages of no more than $300,000. But this is a multi-billion-dollar contract. So. But I'm no lawyer either. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant. I just know the facts.
Wow. Keep us posted.
Definitely.
Especially if we get a $2 million check.
Yeah.
That would be
You have to come and resuscitate me. Maybe on the floor of my office passed out. Hey, prove me wrong, man. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, right.
All right, so next up, looks like Lisa and Jess are going to give us a little update on the workshop.
Yes. Do you want me to start?
Sure.
So the last workshop that we had, we got to see some updated designs based on the feedback we gave from the first workshop. And I think the space is looking really good and they were able to incorporate our feedback. Everyone seemed happy with kind of the direction we were moving forward. So we worked on that, and then we got into looking at more designs and aesthetics and color schemes and things like that. So this is the second of 4 workshops, and we have the next 2 scheduled to be in the next couple weeks.
They seem really open to all, they're like constantly writing all the comments and feedback and trying to incorporate it into,
Yes.
and they've done a lot of other libraries before, so they.
They seem like a very sharp group.
Yeah.
So I've been pleased with the progress, and I think it's been very good to have all the different staff departments involved.
Yeah.
So we're getting perspective from, different types of users of the library and how different people interact with the library. So I think it's been helpful. Good. That is kind of all I had.
So to be continued, it
To be
sounds like.
continued, yes.
Excellent. All right. So, oh goodness. It's a bad end of the day. All right, so next up, closed session for review of our closed session minutes, which are few. So do we have a motion to move into closed session?
Motion to move into closed session.
So we have to specify which purpose we are calling a closed session for. So let's look for statute.
This is for the July.
Do you have it handy?
Yes, it is for the July.
But the language should
It's
be on
the
Oh,
the
It's like, I know we put it on.
ICMS statutes. Yeah.
it's on the agenda.
Is it? The statute?
Yes.
I don't see it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks so much. Okay. So do we have a motion to move into closed session pursuant to section 5 ILCS 120/2, section 21 for the review of closed session minutes? I swear it's true.
Yeah. Do we have to repeat that?
Oh my God, if we have a motion, yes. Do we have a second?
Motion, second.
Second.
Okay.
Who's second?
Okay.
It's like, do I have to read all that back?
Yeah, I know.
I have the first aisles here, and then you lost me.
Okay, so,
7:43.
all right. So we are back in open session at 7:52. Jen, do we need to roll call again?
No.
No, okay. Do we have a motion to approve executive session minutes from July 15th, 2005 and open the same minutes from July 15th, 2005?
2025.
2025, thank you. Going back in time.
Motion to approve the minutes from July 15th of 2025, as well as open the minutes from July 15th of 2025.
I second that. Excellent. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Okay, Katie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Vicky,
Aye.
Chantal,
Aye.
Bethany,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
We did it, you guys. Excellent. We're good for 6 months. All right. Committee reports. Finance. Chantal, do you have anything for us?
I think we heard a lot about finance today, so I'll spare you. But yes, I think Jennifer made a good point thinking about, going further. If we don't get those payments, then we'll have to think about that in the budget going forward, so I assume we want to meet in March, is the finance committee meeting? Sounds good.
We're talking about the budget anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent. All right, friends.
No update from the friends.
This month. All right. Rails and Ilay.
So there was a little bit. There is a retirement announced from the director of the Downers Grove Public Library, Julie Melivec. There were also 2 new libraries welcomed into Rails, Lake Forest Academy and Central School District 51. So that expanded the network there. There was released new resources like such as an onboarding handout for the L2 Library Directory and Learning Calendar platform and advocacy tools that were focused on ebook and audiobook pricing challenges. And then that was Rails, and then in ILA, it was reported that Friends of the Library, the Joliet Public Library, helped launch the first school library in Kenya through a book donation project. I thought that was pretty neat. And then, let's see, there was one other thing. Oh, there was a legislative update that talked about recent federal funding increases for libraries in 2026. Wasn't specific about exactly where that was going, but for advocacy and public policy progress. But they didn't say specifically which libraries it was going to.
And do you have any background on that, Jen?
So I think that the last sort of updates that we heard about that were that the ALA is kind of counting that as a victory for libraries, that not only are they still included in the next fiscal year budget, because remember the federal budget is a July one, they are included with some increased funding. I think you're right, it remains to be seen what policy changing, what side of the policy change that will be on, I think remains to be seen, but ALA and ILA are looking at it as a victory for libraries. So basically, advocacy works, keep it up.
Thank you. Policies.
No updates this month?
And then Village.
Not a lot that pertains to us. They still have no financial person, and there's some angry residents. Because there's not audits being done that should be done. There's like a lot of stuff that's just not necessarily as available that should be available and transparent. So there's people who are getting kind of wondering what's going on.
Have they provided any explanation for the delay?
No, that's what's interesting. All these people will talk at the meeting, and most of it's like at the end of the meeting for public comment or questions. And there's like little to no feedback. It's just thank you. There's like no engagement. There's no.
Like we don't have candidates,
They
we're
don't.
interviewing.
They don't even talk. They don't even broach it.
Is there a listing for this?
I mean, it was posted. I haven't checked recently to see if it's still posted. I would assume so since they don't have one. But
Like on LinkedIn or on
I'm
the
not sure, to be honest with
village
you.
page?
I probably definitely like gonna check the village page right now, but so it's a little bit weird. Yeah, I mean, because they're supposed to be auditing. Is like someone brought up checking like the credit card statements that people are using and who's making sure those are used for the correct things or that that's being,
No oversight.
there's no oversight. Yeah.
So our money, the library's money will come from Cook County.
The village.
No, our money comes directly to us from Cook County.
Might want to advocate for the Grange to get there.
Although it says we're hiring and it just says police officers and public works seasonal employees.
I
So
noticed that too.
I don't see anything out there.
There was an article that came out about how their audit is like, it's significantly overdue. I got it because it mentions the library. It says that the library was completed on time. The library department
Yeah, it's
was
not
completed
posted on the
time.
website of the
So we got
village,
a
so
good
maybe
shot
they
at
are
it.
hiring someone and that's why I mean, the only thing that Beth Augustine said something kind of cryptic, like, we hear your complaints, but it was kind of a general statement to what, there was other things people spoke about, like flooding and whatnot, but, so you couldn't be sure what she was talking about, but she's like, we are working on things and it just tends to take longer, but there's a reason why we're not addressing, I don't know, so it's like very cryptically saying, we hear you, but I don't know what she's talking about, whether it's the flooding, whether it's the financial component.
One thing we will have to watch from the village is that property, the PPRT money, that does come from the village. We usually get that in the summer, right? Like August or September.
Or do replacement tax.
We got it last year. So let's make sure we get it this year.
How much is it?
It varies because it's based on property tax sales and new business in the area. So it could be, I think we've gotten maybe 35,000. So not that much, but not anything we're going to turn away either. But we did get it last year, so hopefully reliably we'll get it again this year. We'll see.
Yeah, but otherwise there's no other.
The Jackson Mall thing was
I mean, that's pretty much a done deal.
done.
Yeah.
Jen?
Anything
So
to add
records
from
are
your
full.
meetings?
I just wanted to pull out a few pieces of information that are really exciting, and then I was going to share with you a couple of learning opportunities that are coming up. So I was really excited to receive our check for if you got your newsletter this month, our cover was dedicated to our teen library pathways internship program, which will be funded with the grant from the Carnegie Foundation of New York. We did get that check in the mail. It came in like a not very secure envelope. I was very surprised that that's what it is, but I was like, all right, and it was a physical check, which I thought we weren't mailing checks anymore, but what do I know? But we've now seeded that fund for at least 5 years, which is great. It's going to be in an interest-bearing account. It's going to make money. It'll be great. And we are connecting with Lyons Township High School. Nicole and Kim have just been running with that, so being able to, talk about the library with interested students and bring more diverse candidates to librarianship is the goal.
And Jen, how many positions will you be able to offer?
We're starting with 2.
Okay.
Each year is the goal. Since it's the first year, we wanted to keep it pretty small. There will be a paid stipend, component to it, obviously. But again, $10,000 is a unencumbered grant money that we could use for, bettering we thought it was cool to give it back to the community in a way, so. A few years of that. I was really excited to see it's one of my pictures that we put in this month talking about our MLK Day of Service. This is I think the second year in a row we've done it since I've been here. And it's essentially an opportunity for a time when our library is open to bring together family activities, to do just small acts of volunteerism, across the community. And I think that is, it's always appreciated to have family things that people can come and do together on days when school is out. So we love that. We have hired Mike Monahan is our new programming librarian, and he has been mentioned in the report, meeting with just every single group that he possibly can. We also were able to promote Shelley Boskamp to Access Services Librarian. She is pursuing her MLIS, or she's planning to in the next year, but what's exciting is that she already is in our Access Services department, so she's going to be a big help in looking at the workflows now that we have to completely change the way that we buy and process books because Baker and Taylor closed. So gotta make some changes. And then we are at the offer stages for our public services librarian for children's programs. As again, Miss Patty is retiring April 3rd. I think in the newsletter too, it mentions the Miss Patty's Last Chapter celebration. She wanted to do something with the kids and simple and fun for herself. So you all are more than welcome to, if you and your family had the chance to interact with Miss Patty, I'm sure she would love to see you. And then that's really it for me. It's been a lot of text. But yeah, were there any things in the report you wanted me to talk more about at all that we haven't hit already? Oh, I'm sure you saw too, in the e-newsletter this week, we were selected as a PBS Indie pop-up lens site. So we are showing our first movie this month, and the name has just fallen out of my brain. The Inquisitor, which is the first one coming up. It's a series of 4 documentaries, one of which will be The Librarian, or The Librarians, that will cap off in April, National Library Week. We have a panel, so I'm speaking on it, the School Librarian of the Year, who's Joanna Merrick from District 105, Joyce Hagan-McIntosh from ALA, and Cindy Robinson from ILA will all be coming together to watch the movie with us, with the community, and then also do a panel talking about libraries. So if you happen to be available that Friday evening and would like to watch that documentary, please come and attend. There are a couple of training opportunities I'll just take a chance to mention while I have your ear to bend here. On May 14th at and I just forgot what library it is at, I apologize, May 16th is a Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Oak Lawn Public Library. Atlas will be doing its annual Trustee Day, so some of you had the opportunity to come to that last year when it was at Orland, but this one will be Director Evaluations and Library Financials. So if that's something you would like to attend or be, I don't know what else you would do besides attending. If you would like to attend that, please.
What is it again, sorry?
It is Saturday, May 16th.
You have to register.
Yes, so if you want me to register you, remember the library does have a trustee training budget, so we would register you with this year's budget because it's in April. And then there are a few ILA, their virtual spring series came out, and if you all don't mind me going to the website real quick, the trustee training events that they have put together.
Bless you.
Zooms it. Why would it just be easy? Well, if you would like, while I am looking this up, feel free to. They just announced them too.
It was like a series of 3, right?
Yeah, they always do. Let's see, maybe they're on the actual trustee.
There you go.
Spring webinars. Here they are. Okay, so they are Saturday, March 7th is Trustee Budgeting Toolkit, Driving Library Goals. Again, it's virtual. Empowering patrons through AI literacy, if you have any interest in that, in April. And then book bans and intellectual freedom for trustees will be their May one. So if you are interested in attending any of those, please feel free to reach out to me and we will work on getting you registered. And one other thing to note, so for our IPLAR report, one of the things that is new for next year, so this year, 2025 for 2026 for 2027 reporting, is we will be required to report the number of hours that our trustees spend doing training. So if you are doing any training stuff, whether it's webinars, going to conferences, or these kinds of events, I will be reaching out to you at that time to ask you, hey, can you give me the number of hours? There's right now no minimum or maximum, but remember that is legislation that's currently on the floor of, I think it's in discussion. So, as those kind of come up, I'll keep you posted. But if you're ever interested in other training stuff, let me know. I try to email stuff out as it comes.
Cool. Great.
I think that's it.
Thank you. Before we have trustee comments, Marion, did you have something that you wanted to?
Yes, and I'm so sorry, the same thing happened the last time I was here. I forgot my comments until the end. But I want to thank the library for being a partner for the Building Inclusive Community Conference. Once again, it was held on February 7th, and I want to thank Jen personally for helping with announcing and helping at the registration table. So thank you very much for that. It was an awesome conference, and yeah, it was a big success. And then, I don't know, just personally, I wanted to mention that I'm co-facilitating a discussion of abundance here. And we're the League of Women, with the League of Women Voters of the Grange area. And we're really interested in that book because it talks so much about affordable housing, which is an issue that we care deeply about. And I'm actually on the subcommittee about the affordable housing stuff. So, and then I just signed up with Mike to do a family film on July 20th about my family's journey with Alzheimer's. My grandfather had it and my mother had it. And so there's a film that covers 40 years in our family. It's only half an hour, so it's edited quite a bit. But anyway, so yeah, for people who are interested in or have experience with Alzheimer's. And it's really just all about caregiving and how you manage those dynamics in the family. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And yeah, it was a pleasure. I was able to attend the Building Inclusive Communities Conference, and it was a wonderful event.
It's a unique to LaGrange thing that I wish more communities had that kind of involvement, just to, it's how so many different partnerships have grown up and sparked out in the last year that we've gotten to be involved, but also we're the beneficiaries of all the work that the previous 5 or 4 years did before we started being involved. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm always glad to give back. There's nothing else like it that I've experienced. So
yeah. It's just very cool to see so many organizations and community members and people just come together, just to
give up a Saturday morning.
Yeah, to give up Saturday morning. But hey, there was poetry, there was performance, there was
if you have never seen
speaker.
The Steppers, oh my God,
yeah,
that was so cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, and the keynote speaker was amazing. That Illinois
so
Teacher
lovely.
of the Year. He's a bilingual chemistry teacher. I'm thinking I couldn't handle chemistry in my own language, much less an additional language. So that was
And how
remarkable.
was the disability panel that you facilitated? I so wish I could have been here.
I think it was great. We talked about, we had representatives at the panel that were either talking about their lived experience with living with a disability, but also how we could work and plan public spaces and services to have that accommodation and accessibility be the base instead of the special that you reach for. And hopefully Dr. Muldring, who is Carrie, is the person who spoke on our panel. She is Miss Wheelchair Illinois 2026, and Mike is working with her to come in and do a story time for the summer. So I think that'll be really exciting. But to hear about the just upgrades and stuff that they did at the LT at the South Campus there, Greg, their facilities director, talked about how they made decisions. We had people from Helping Hand, Community Assisted Rides was there, talking about accessibility for our older populations. So I think it was great, and Marion she found so many people. she exercised her long reach to bring in the partners, so we got to work together on that. It was great.
Any other trustee comments?
Just want to thank Jen and all the work with the tax stuff. I mean, it's really important that I think that we're doing the resolution and make our voices heard, because that it matters, and it matters as representatives of our community. So yeah, it's really good. And I also wanted to mention I'm really excited about the librarians. And I'm so excited doing a panel discussion. I watched it last week. You can watch it online if you want. It's amazing. It's so good.
We were trying so hard to get Classic Cinemas to let us
Yes,
show it in the
we
actual
were.
theater.
I
know, wouldn't that be great? Jen and I, we were like wishful because I got to see it on a big screen at ILA, and it was so moving. I was in tears.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's pretty depressing, but it's good to know about.
exactly. Yeah, so I'm really excited and to see the panel. So that'll be here in this room, right?
It will be. We were hoping we'd be in the wonderful reclining
heated
seats,
reclining
but you'll just have to put down a that seat. I know I've never been on the screen side. I've only been in the audience, so that would have been cool. But
Oh, my only other comment was I saw this Library Foundation celebration in here. I just wonder if that is going to become a thing, if we should think about policy for and how we're going to work with that going forward to get ahead of it. You know, what's our relationship going to be? How do we make sure they follow our strategy and not vice versa and stuff like that? So just a thought.
yeah, I think they're hoping they're going to get interest.
Yes, no, I mean, I think it's great. I just think we should get out ahead of it and think about how it's going to work.
Sure.
Excellent. Anything else? Great. All right. In that case, we shall adjourn at 8:15 p.m.